start early?
We have some people.
10:80, do you care if we start early?
We have some people.
Okay. Just call them and see if they can come sooner. So we'll do a compromise, maybe about 1:15, so maybe another 10 minutes. So go ahead, and if there's anything else, we'll start cleaning up, and we'll get started in about 10 minutes. So you can hear what we're going to talk about. I think we have a couple more people coming, but I had a few things to share. And let's go ahead and just open real quick with prayer. Father in heaven, thank you again for the opportunity to learn about this great body that you have given us. And again, we're thankful that Christy is willing to share with us her knowledge, and we ask for your presence to be here. We ask this in your name, amen. How many of you like to put margarine on your bread or use it in your mashed potatoes or whatever? You know, for those of you who still like margarine, I got this week, and I knew that I've been told that margarine is like one step away from plastic. And so as I looked at this, I go, oh, wow, this is crazy. So, do people that eat margarine really know how it's manufactured? So I'm just going to give you real quick these steps here. The soybeans, corn, cottonseed, or canola seeds are then sent, and oils are extracted by high temperatures and pressure. The remaining fraction of oils removed with hexane and other solvents. The oils are now rancid, steam cleaned to remove all vitamins and antioxidants, but pesticides and solvents remain. The oils are mixed with a nickel catalyst, and the oils with the catalyst subjected to hydrogen gas in high-pressured, high-temperature reactor. The soap-like emulsifier is mixed in. The oil steam cleaned, again, to remove the horrible odor, and the gray color is removed by bleaching. The artificial flavors, synthetic vitamins, and natural colors are added, and the mixture is packaged in blocks or tubs and advertised and promoted as a health product. So just to let you know that is what margarine is, and so, you know, trying to get away from those processed foods. The other thing, too, that I got this week is the ingredients in a soft serve ice cream. The trucks will make you scream. So as you see all those trucks that go through and sell to these little children, the stuff that's in there, I'm not going to go through all this. If anybody wants a copy of this, give me your email and I'll forward either of these to you. But it's pretty incredible what we're giving to our kids. Okay, I am so excited that Christy Lonergan can be here with us today. We had Dr. Bromberg, is that how you say your name? Dr. Bromberg, Dr. Green, that came, the chiropractic group that came and presented to us about maximized living. Well, from them is how I met Christy. And she and I have talked on the phone, and it was a pleasure to actually meet today. But Christy is a holistic wellness coach, and when she said she had a talk on sugar, I was so excited. And then this fall, and I won't be able to be here, but in September, she's going to talk about gardening, no-till gardening. And so that's going to be really good too. So Christy, I'm going to turn this over to you. Thank you again for being here.
I'm not sure where we're going to hook this on to. I don't know either. I didn't think about that. How does this go on my ear? Yeah, right here. Think that'll stay. Rick, how does this? I know how to do it to me, but. Can you hear me? Yes. Perfect. Yeah, I'm not in hands-free, that helps. Yeah. So, thanks for coming and being here. Yeah, I'm glad that Vivian and my paths cross, and I see some familiar faces in here, so my paths are crossing with others of you, and it's been awesome, so it's nice to see familiar faces. And what a great lunch we had today. It was so much fun seeing all the color on people's plates. They were vibrant and alive, and usually when you go to potlucks, that's not the case. You see the monocolor, everything's like cheese colored and the bread colored. So it's nice to see the fruits and vegetables, and I tried some really yummy stuff. So,
Hey, Christy, real quick, you may get feedback if you're too close to that speaker, just FYI.
okay, thank you. I'll kind of turn so I can be. So yes, today we're going to talk about curbing sugar cravings. And if you're like me, you've probably tried a lot of things and you always go back to the sugar because we always like that sweet stuff. So I had an incident in my life that made me change. So that's why I don't eat so much sugar anymore. But these were some of my sweet pleasures. I used to bake a lot every Saturday, Sunday in the kitchen with my flour and my sugar and my eggs and making all kinds of different stuff. And it wasn't until I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, I have Meniere's disease, that it really, I say it saved my life because it made me wake up and realize that what I was putting in my body wasn't right. And so the specialist in town for Meniere's disease told me there's no cure, told me that I had bad vertigo. I should explain a little bit. So bad that I would be walking my dog in the park and I would fall down because I'd have an attack, and I couldn't get up for 2 hours one time, just in the park calling my husband, please come get me. And I never knew when it was going to hit. I thought I was going to have to quit my job. I was early 40s and I was too young to have my life over. I couldn't garden anymore. So the specialist told me that he could sever my hearing nerve and that would stop the vertigo, but I would be deaf in that ear. So I thought, no big deal. I already had a hearing aid because the disease was deteriorating my ear and I couldn't hear anyway. So I was going to go ahead with the surgery. And then he said, there's no reason why the disease won't jump to the other ear. Like, well, that's not a solution. I can't do that. So I walked out of his office, this little voice over here saying, what are you doing? He's a specialist. You should listen to him. He knows what he's talking about. And the other voice saying, run, run. So I ran. I didn't know what I was going to do, though. I needed to be fixed. So I ended up finding a holistic doctor, and she changed my diet. And in 2 weeks, my vertigo was gone. I know. So who did you see? I saw Bethany Klug, Dr. Bethany Klug. She's awesome. So what she did basically was no gluten, no dairy, no soy, no sugar, no processed foods. And I thought that was a death sentence. I'm going to go back to the other guy and have him cut my ear. But, it was hard. And I thought, I've got to do this because I have no other options other than to, go through that surgery. And so I did it, and I felt so good. And that's when I realized food really is medicine. Because once I figured out that my ear was getting better and my disease symptoms were getting better, I also accidentally lost 20 pounds without even trying. My seasonal allergies went away. My asthma that I had that would send me to the hospital, gone. I had chronic insomnia, years and years and years, sleeping pill just to get to sleep. Now I can sleep. I mean, it's just amazing. All the things that changed and improved just because I changed my diet. And I stuck with my diet. I'm still eating mostly, that way. I went on a high raw diet. I went on an all raw diet for a while as well. And in less than a year, I went back to the specialist because my vertigo was gone. And by this time, I had gone to school to become a certified holistic health coach because I wanted to help other people learn the importance of diet. So I took my little business card and marched into his office. And he did a hearing test. My hearing had improved 40%, 4-0, from diet. It's crazy. And his jaw, never left the ground. And how'd you do it? And I told him, I was like, I'd love to help your people, work with you, with your people. And I think he probably threw my card in the trash can. But anyway, I didn't hear from him again. But I have been on a path, to help other people figure out the best way to eat for them. Because the way I eat to fix my symptoms isn't necessarily the way you need to eat to fix any health issues you might have. So that's what I kind of help people with. So that's my story. I used to call myself a sugar head because I didn't have just a sweet tooth. I had a sugar head. I'm happy to say I don't have that anymore, but these were all of my sweet pleasures. So today what I'm going to talk about, I'm going to discuss the different types of sugars. Some things might surprise you there. We're going to talk about why sugar is bad for you, why we crave sugar, how to make better choices, why sugar isn't always the problem, and we're going to deconstruct those cravings that we have. So the types of added sugar, I know you know a lot of the sugars, but when I talk about sugar today, I don't just mean the table sugar that that you pour on your, whatever, your foods. I'm talking about brown sugar, powdered sugar, corn syrups, high fructose corn syrup, dextrose, glucose, honey, agave, lactose, fructose, including dates and bananas. Fructose is the fruit sugar. All of that stuff still raises our blood sugar levels, right? So if you have chronic disease, you have to be really careful with even those sweet things. Even though they're natural, we still have to be careful. Raw sugar, sorbitol, which is sugar alcohols there, sucrose, terminato, palm sugar, coconut sugar, and there's many more, too many to list. But that kind of gives you an idea. When I say sugar, I'm talking about the whole gamut of things there. So don't be fooled thinking that the natural sugars in food are any different. Our body metabolizes all added sugars the same way. So it doesn't distinguish if I'm having brown sugar or agave, organic, light brown agave. It doesn't matter that you spend, a lot of money on that versus the good old brown sugar. It still acts in your body the same. Your body still has to break that, the sugars down into glucose, and that's what our bodies use for energy. So sugar is very addictive. We all know that, right? That's why you're here probably, because sugar keeps calling our name. Brain scans have shown that sugar is as addictive as cocaine. So it signals the pleasure centers in our brain the same, whether you're having the cocaine or the sugar. It makes us want more. So that's why our willpower just doesn't always work. It's not your fault. So you can quit beating yourself up about it. And sugar's everywhere. My husband is not as healthy as I am. I'm the nagging wife. But he still buys. I go to my little grocery store and buy my stuff, and he goes to his grocery store and buys his stuff. So I found this Mrs. Baird's 8 enriched buns, hamburger buns. And just out of curiosity, I was looking at the ingredient list, which is about 5 lines and probably over 50 ingredients here. But I noticed high fructose corn syrup in hamburger buns. Isn't that crazy? So you really have to read the labels. It really is everywhere. And eating just a small amount of sugar really does create a desire for more, just like the cocaine addict.
Hey, Christy.
And yes.
I was just reading this last week that we used to think the sugar receptors were on the tongue, but they have found now it's all the way down the esophagus, the intestine, in the lining of the gut, all the way through the intestinal tract. There's receptor sites saying, oh, awesome.
Right. Yeah, and in our brain, our little, the scans show that the spots in our brain, the pleasure spots, really react to sugar. So yeah, that's why willpower isn't just it. The more you give yourself sugar, the more your body's saying, give me more. And our DNA is also to blame because, thousands of years ago when we were hunters and gatherers, when we would come across a berry patch, we could eat the berries, and we didn't have the problems that we have now. And that berry patch was only there for a couple weeks or a month, and then we had to wait till the next year until we could eat them again. And so God has given us, all these wonderful berries, but our body knows that anything that we eat is sweet from nature is not poisonous. God didn't make anything poisonous that was sweet, the berries and stuff. So if our bodies taste the sweet, our DNA thinks that it's not poisonous, which today, when we eat the sweet, a lot of it is pretty much like poison to us. So here's why sugar ruins our health. Long list. It suppresses our immune system. If you eat sugar, I've read that your immune system can be suppressed for 4 to 5 hours after you eat that sugar. So if you have sugar at every meal throughout the day, your immune system is suppressed all through the day. And you eat that piece of candy or sugar item right before bed, it's pretty sad that our immune system is just always compromised. It interferes with the absorption of calcium and magnesium, so we get osteoporosis. It can affect our eyesight, cause hypoglycemia, obesity, arthritis, heart disease, can contribute to Alzheimer's. It can increase your cholesterol. Excuse me, I just lost my. It can contribute, obviously, to diabetes. We all know that. Can lead to prostate, ovarian cancers, can make your skin age. So if you're not worried about disease, at least worry about looking good. It gives us a lot of triglycerides, so when you get that blood work done, your triglycerides are high. That's from your sugars. And it can increase the body's fluid retention. Sometimes, if you have rings and your fingers get swollen, that's a sign of the fluid retention, and it can cause headaches. So here's the stats. Yes?
Sorry, on that last slide, you said hypoglycemia. Is there a reason why you chose hypo instead of hyperglycemia? Is hyper being high sugar?
Yeah, probably both. I probably should have put both on there, so thank you for pointing that out. I'll update that. And yeah, if anybody has any comments or questions as I go through, please raise your hand or holler out at me.
I have a question.
Yes.
I like stevia.
Yeah.
And so does stevia react in the body the same way as it does with all the other sugars?
No, and I'm going to talk about that.
Okay, good, because that's been a burning question in my mind, so.
Yes,
Okay.
it's coming. So and before we go any further, I'm going to show you this, because these stats, this is going to make a difference on these stats. So, any of you Coke drinkers in here? Hopefully not. Good. My husband still drinks Coke once in a while, so I showed him this morning. I just put this together this morning. This 120-ounce Coke, it's how much sugar? Isn't that crazy? You're not going to sit down and put that much in your coffee or any kind of drink that you're drinking. That's how much we're getting. So there's 16 of these packets here. The American Heart Association says that women should limit their intake to 6 teaspoons per day. So this is way more than we're supposed to get in one day of sugar. Men should average themselves to 9 teaspoons. Still more than what a guy's supposed to have. Average adult gets 22 teaspoons a day, and the average child gets 32. That's so sad to me. Added sugar accounts for an extra 500 calories every day, and Americans consume 130 pounds of added sugar every year. And no one puts that much sugar, on their food, so this is all hidden sugars. Let me show you what this kind of looks like. I have a big yellow lab. This is her dog food. This is a 33-pound bag. So 4 of these is what we consume, each of us, on average a year, hidden that we don't really realize. So, you've got to start reading those labels and figuring out other stuff to do. So that single soda is 16 teaspoons, and a child is at risk of becoming obese. A child's risk of becoming obese increases by 60% for every additional sugary drink. Women who drink 1 sugar-sweetened beverage each day have twice the risk of diabetes. And so, if you guys drink diet soda because it's 0 calories and you're worried about your blood sugar levels, I'm going to talk to you guys now. Talk to you guys in a minute. Because you're not off the hook, because the artificial sweeteners are really bad. So, to figure out how much sugar, they don't make this stuff easy for us to figure out how much sugar's in here, okay? They have the labels in grams instead of teaspoons, right? So we have to do a little bit of math. So 4 grams is 1 teaspoon of sugar. And if you're looking at the label, if you're like me, I'm not a big math whiz, dividing things by 4 is a little bit hard for me, but I found that I can divide it by 2. I can half anything, in my mind. I can half it, and then I half it again, and then there's divided by 4. So hopefully I didn't just confuse anybody, but that's how my mind works. Good. So that's what I do when I look at the back. And then you also have to keep in mind that the label on the back of milk and products with fruit in it, the added sugars from the milk, the lactose and the milk sugars and the fruit sugars will be included on that label. So it's going to be misleading as to figuring out, like on chocolate milk, how much is really added sugar and how much is the milk sugar. So you can have to just get a regular milk, look at the amount of sugar in it, then look at your chocolate milk and look at the sugars and kind of compare how much more they added there. When comparing grams of sugar, select the lowest as long as there's no artificial sweeteners in it. So if you're comparing 2 yogurts, let's say you guys are doing coconut yogurt and you're looking at the back, one has 0 calories or 10 calories, the other has 70, one has artificial. So you don't always want to take the one that's the lowest.
Christy,
Yes?
one of the things when I did some of the stuff, I I had to help people realize that you have to look at the serving size.
Yeah,
You're going around.
that's what we're gonna do right here.
Because that's really misleading.
My slide isn't quite coming out the way it shows. I have some color in there, but that's okay. So yes, definitely, like this Coke right here is 2.5 servings.
Yeah.
Who's gonna drink 2.5 of this, put it back in the fridge and drink another 1 serving the next day and put it back in the fridge and finish out your last half serving? So when you're looking at the label is for 1 serving. So again, we have to do more math. So you have to take, this says 1 serving is 65 grams of sugar. 1 serving. So there's 2.5 servings, so I have to take 26 times 2.5 to get the total amount of sugar, and then I have to divide that by 4 to get the teaspoons, right? So take your smartphone with you and know where your calculator is, or just don't drink this stuff. It's crazy. I wish that they would make it easier for us to figure this stuff out. Okay, so we're gonna play a little game. I have 9 items up here. I have 7-Up, I have Jell-O, Powerade, barbecue sauce. I think I forgot to bring my barbecue sauce. My husband stole it out of my bag. Honey Nut Cheerios, I have all these items up here. This is gonna represent my sugar glazed donut from Dunkin' Donuts. I'll give that back to my dog later. I have Jell-O, I have green tea, and I have vitamin water. And so let's try to guess lowest added sugar to highest added sugar, and we'll see how close you get. And I totally bombed on this, so I don't expect you to get it right. So who wants to yell out, what do you think up here has the lowest amount of added sugar of those items?
That water.
Vitamin water,
Green tea.
and then green tea. Okay. What next?
Donut.
The donut, okay.
Probably the Jell-O.
What's that?
Somebody said.
Jell-O. Next.
Honey Nut Cheerios.
Okay.
Powerade.
Okay.
Fudge Brownies and 7-Up.
And I have a Coke here too.
The Coke is on the top.
On the top?
Next to 7-Up.
Which side? On this side? Okay. Good guesses. That's what I expect. But you got them wrong. Okay, you ready to see? The lowest amount is the Honey Nut Cheerios, actually. They have 11 grams and 1 serving. And you know, 1 serving normally is like 3/4 of a cup, which who eats that, you know, when you have a bowl of cereal. So, but we're talking per serving here. Next is the sugar glazed Dunkin' Donut. It only has 1 gram more than the Honey Nut Cheerios. Out of all these things, one of the lowest. I'm not saying it's the best for you. I'm just saying lowest amount of added sugar. Barbecue sauce. 1 serving of barbecue sauce is 2 tablespoons. Again, who eats only 2 tablespoons? If you're gonna use barbecue sauce, you're gonna pile it on probably. You guys probably not so much. You're not got the big slab of ribs or something in front of you as most people do. But my husband, yeah, it's not 2 tablespoons. So that's third. Brownie. A serving of a brownie, 1/20 of the square pan. Who eats that? But even then, so that's fourth, 16 grams. Chocolate pudding is higher than the brownie serving. That surprised me. I'm not putting these in order up here. I don't really have room. Powerade is next. So Powerade, again, this is 2.5 servings. So you have to do all the math. So per serving, it's got 20 grams. If you were to do this whole bottle, you would have 50 grams of added sugar. Next is the green tea. More than the brownies and everything else. So this is really high. Again, you're only supposed to, this is 2.5 servings. So if you were to drink this whole bottle, you would have 52.5 grams of sugar. Vitamin water is next. Sounds healthy enough, right? Nope, not. At least this says you're gonna drink the whole thing as 1 serving, but you're still getting 32 grams. Then 7-Up.
I'm different between vitamin waters, because I bought a couple the other day, it said less than 1 gram of sugar per serving.
Yeah, this is the glazed shoe, however you say that. So there probably are different, that's why you have to read the labels, because you can't trust, company to company to do what's right. And there are gonna be some good companies out there, but just always get in the habit of reading your labels. Yes?
I've noticed a lot of them say low sugar and stuff that's replaced with the fake sugars.
Right, right. And low compared to what? I don't know,
Yeah.
what does low sugar mean? So yeah, just you have to look at your grams of sugar on your label, and also realize that if it's got some fruit in it, it's going to be skewed a little bit. If it uses real fruit, there's some like Total that there's an article a couple years ago that had their blueberry Total. If you read the labels, there's not anything blueberry in it, but they had the pretty little blueberries on the box, and so you really have to read your labels to know what you're getting. You can't trust anybody. So back to those artificial sweeteners I was going to tell you about. They are worse. I consider them worse than the sugar. If you kidnapped me and tied me up and told me I had to either drink a Coke or a Diet Coke, I would choose the Coke, even knowing how bad that is for me. We're talking about aspartame, which is a NutraSweet equal. You got saccharin, sucralose, acesulfame K, which you have to be careful because if that's used in a lot of pharmaceuticals, so it makes it taste sweet. So if say you can't sleep and you go buy some liquid valerian root or something to use to sleep, and it tastes sweet, read the label because it's probably the acesulfame K in there. And neotame is another one that's used in soft drinks. So why they're so bad? Numerous studies performed on lab rats rank aspartame and saccharin to cancer. So I know we're not rats, but that's scary. And the Center for Science and the Public Interest cautions everyone to avoid aspartame, saccharin, and acesulfame K because they are unsafe in large amounts. What's that mean, large amounts? I can't really say what a large amount is. I don't want to say what a large amount to me and my body might be different than what a large amount to you and your body is, because it might affect us differently, because we might be at different toxicity loads, we might be at different inflammation, have different inflammation markers, and so they can't really say what a good amount or bad amount is. My take on it is if it's bad in a large amount, it's bad in a small amount. Our body is still gonna react. It might not show up as a disease that they're tracking, but it's still gonna cause some inflammation and some toxicity in our body, so it's best just to avoid them like the plague. Okay, so this is crazy. This is everything that aspartame causes. And I was putting this together, and it reminded me of the pharmaceutical commercials that you see on TV that, you take the Lunesta and it may cause side effects, and the guy rattles off.
Bloating, diarrhea.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what this kind of reminds me of. So I was thinking I was going to do my own little commercial here. So, yes?
I used to work for a lady that drank Diet Coke like I've never seen anyone ingest Coke in my life. I mean, she never drank water. And I was wondering, when is this going to catch up with her? Because this had been going on for years. She started having strange things go on in her head. She had MRIs and stuff, and they said that she could have MS or MD, but they also asked her what she ate, and she told them that, and they said that drinking those drinks will mimic in the brain those symptoms of MS and MD, the very symptoms she was having at that time. She began to decrease that and drink more water, so her symptoms were slightly subsiding, and I haven't seen her for a couple of years, so I'm curious to know, did they all subside, or is she still having some of that? Because she was very ill with it.
Right. Well, hopefully, sometimes you can catch it early enough and you can reverse those kinds of things, and sometimes they cause permanent damage. Sometimes they turn into an autoimmune disease, and once you have an autoimmune disease, it doesn't go away. You can just have to manage the symptoms. Sometimes those things actually turn into MS. Sometimes they turn into cancer. And it's just, you've got to be careful and not let it get to that point. So hopefully she caught that and it turned around. But yeah, this stuff is nothing to mess with. So headaches, hearing loss, blurred vision, anxiety. I mean, I'm thinking of the kids these days too. All the kids are overweight, so the moms would probably give them 0-calorie stuff. And it's causing them all kinds of problems. Memory loss, personality changes, chest pains, PMS, swelling, skin lesions, fatigue, eye problems, seizures, nausea, tinnitus, and you're ringing in your ear, mood changes, heart arrhythmia, violent episodes, hyperactivity, dizziness, increased appetite, which we'll talk about that in a minute, insomnia, depression, joint pains, numbness, and tingling of the extremities, and MS symptoms, and you could go on forever. I was doing research on this, and it was just totally endless. But they don't take it off the market. And again, they can do studies, and what affects one person affects somebody else differently, so they can't put a number of when this stuff gets bad for us.
That keep the doctors and the drug companies going.
Yeah, there's money in that for them. Studies suggest that when our taste buds taste something sweet, that it activates our body to expect a calorie load. So we taste something sweet, our body understands that we're going to be eating something. Something's going to come in. So if we just drink a liquid something, our body, and there's no calories or anything else behind it, our body's still waiting. Where's the calories? Where's the calories? I'm all ready to digest all these calories. Where are they? And so there's studies saying that can trigger us to want to eat more because our body sends out cravings because it's ready for this food load. And so we have to be careful with that. Even with stevia, that can be an issue. And everybody's different on how our bodies react to that. Stevia, my favorite. I meant to bring my stevia plant and I forgot. So stevia comes from an herb. I grow it. It grows super easy. Do you grow? Yeah. It grows like basil or anything else. It loves the heat in the pot and a little bit of water, and it's happy. And it's super sweet. You can, steep it in your tea. You can dehydrate it so you have the tea leaves or the sweet leaves for the winter. You can buy it if you're not a gardener and you don't want to grow it. You can buy it. Stevia powder is supposedly from the dried leaves, but it's white, right? So there's a lot of processing that has to happen for that to turn white. You can get the stevia liquid drops. They're the least processed, and that's what I use a lot of. And stevia doesn't raise your blood sugar. It's a safer option for diabetics and for those suffering from candida and some of the other things that you have to be careful of with the blood sugar levels.
Do you know anything about the coconut date palm sugar? Because I noticed on there it's all natural sources and it says low glycemic index. I don't know if you've used
Yeah,
that.
and the coconut palm was on that list of what I'm talking about with sugars. So it is still a sugar. It still will raise your blood sugar levels. So you just have to be careful. There are, it's going to be better than brown sugar or high fructose corn syrup, yes, and there's, the natural sweeteners, you're going to get more nutrients from using those than brown sugar. But if you're diabetic or you have a health issue that you're really being careful with your blood sugar levels, you have to really watch that because they still, even though it's low glycemic, it still will raise the blood sugar levels, depending on how you eat it. If you eat your sugars with a lot of fiber or greens, it's going to slow the absorption of sugar into your system. So it kind of depends on, if you're making a dessert out of it every day, it's still a dessert and you're getting it every day and it's still going to cause you some problems. So you just have to be careful.
So when you bake and cook, you use the stevia in place of, I know it's so sweet. If it calls for a cup of sugar, like what's the...
I don't eat that stuff anymore. As much as it hurts my heart because I'm the baker.
Yeah.
But I just have gotten all of those baked good things out of my life. So it took me a long time because on my path, I then went to the pancakes and the healthier muffins and all of that for a while, and then I just realized I just don't need that in my diet. So I'm more just whole foods. But yeah. Yes.
I just taste it.
Mm-hmm.
When I use stevia, if I'm baking, I just taste it to see if it's sweet enough. And most of the time it is. And it only takes a little bit of stevia, as you know.
Right. But if you're baking, you have an issue. You can't really use the stevia if you need the bulk of the sugar. So xylitol is another one. It's a sugar alcohol, but it's another one that Dr. Bethany Klug will recommend, and I've never used it, but it's more for baking. It can cause some digestive issues, but it does not raise your blood sugar hardly at all. So that's something you might check into to bake with. But the powdered stevia is not all created equal, so you really have to be careful. Truvia is made by Coca-Cola. They own it. That tells you anything. Exactly, I really don't need to say anything more after that, right? There's a 40-step patented process that it goes through to use chemicals and and the washes and all of that, just to make the green stevia leaf into the fluffy white powder that you can use into your drinks and your food. So a lot of the things that they use when they go through that 40-step process are known carcinogens. So stevia isn't always the best in that case. Pepsi makes Truvia. Same thing as above for that. Stevia in the raw sounds healthy, right? First ingredient is dextrose. You have to read your labels. Dextrose is derived from GMO corn, and it also goes through a lengthy processing process. And so liquid stevia I like because it's the least processed, and you can even make your liquid stevia yourself. I've done it before. But you can still have unwanted ingredients in your liquid stevia, so you still have to read your label. So the stevia brands, I've done a lot of research on this, and the brands that I recommend is to use stevia leaf. If you can't grow it yourself, you can get online, you can find companies that sell green stevia leaf, and it's dehydrated stevia leaf. It looks green. It's natural. Also the Now's brand, Now's Better Stevia is called, both the powder and the liquid, there's no funny ingredients added in there, so I trust that brand. The Whole Foods 365 liquid stevia, just be careful of added flavorings, because you don't know what they use to make those flavorings. If you're gonna get, the vanilla stevia sounds really good, but it's just better to do it yourself with the vanilla bean or a vanilla that you trust. Just flavor it yourself.
Did you bring handouts with some of this stuff on it?
I did not. I thought I almost did, but then I didn't know. I didn't. So I've not been to your group before, and I didn't know what to expect.
You could just probably do an email.
Yeah, I can email this to anybody. So, and I have a sign up too. I'm going to be giving away some sessions with me, some coaching sessions. I'll tell you about that in a minute. So there's forms up here. So if you fill out a form and you can just write on the side, send me your presentation, I can email that to you.
Thanks.
Sure. So why do our bodies crave sugar when it's so bad for us? So our body is asking for energy. And maybe because we've been working hard all day, we're at our desk, and it's the afternoon, and we just kind of go into that slump. Maybe we need more fuel. Could be because we're dehydrated. We just need to be hydrated. And dehydration will make you feel sluggish. So when sugar is digested, it converts to glucose. I mentioned that earlier, and that's what all of our cells use glucose in our body. And so the conversion happens at different rates depending on the type of sugar that's consumed and how fast we digest it. And think about simple sugars versus complex sugars. An example would be an apple versus apple juice. The apple is the complex. It's got the fiber and it takes longer to digest, so the blood sugars are going to take longer to absorb versus drinking a shot of apple juice, your blood sugar is going to spike immediately. So sugar isn't always the problem. We have emotional eating going on. Maybe we've had a bad day. We just got yelled at by our boss, and nothing better to make you feel better than a bag of Oreos, right? It could be dehydration. It could be our lifestyle. You have a crazy lifestyle. You have kids in all sports. You just running, so you grab the first thing, and it's usually, if it's packaged, it's got some kind of sugar in it. Lack of nutrients could be our problem. If you're not eating enough vegetables, you guys should be eating all of your vegetables. And it could be hormonal. So, what about those cravings? Let's deconstruct them for a minute. So, let's say you're going through the day and you have this craving, and you're going to go to the cabinet and you're going to grab something. You should always stop and ask yourself, why are you having the craving before you grab whatever it is you want to grab? If you can stop and just take a moment and ask yourself that. Are you bored? Are you stressed out? Did somebody just yell at you at work? Why are you going to the vending machine? Are you really all that hungry? Are you just thirsty? Sometimes just taking a moment to ask yourself that can make a big difference. And then, say you're decided that you're really hungry. So what are you hungry for? Again, stop for a moment before you go grab the first thing in the cabinet. Is something salty going to satisfy me today? Is something sweet going to satisfy me? Or do I need something savory?
If I have one, I need the other.
That happens a lot too. And sometimes I grab one, and the salty, I need the sweet to counteract it. Yes, but once in a while you can figure out what it is that's really going to satisfy you before you have 5 things, out of the cabinet to find the one that's going to work. Then you can ask yourself, is this going to give me the nourishment that I crave? Maybe you've had a bad day, and a hug from somebody is really what you need, not bonbons. You know, so ask yourself that. And you can also ask, is this going to be worth the guilt and the crash that I will feel later? And ask yourself, is there a better choice? So pay attention to when your cravings occur. This helps tremendously. If you can do a food log, it will show you in black and white exactly your cravings and your schedule. This is what, when I work with my one-on-one clients, this is what I have them do every time. I have a 3-month program I work with people, and I have them do it the whole 3 months. And it's not fun. No one likes to write down what they're doing, what they're eating, but it is key to understanding your habits. Because our mind plays tricks on us. And maybe, you know, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you always are hungry and you go to the vending machine. Just, you know, if you write it down, you don't realize that you're doing it. But if you write it down, you can see. So now you know, at work, 3 o'clock's coming. It's noon or 1 and 3 o'clock's coming. You know you're going to get hungry, so you can do something to avoid that 3 o'clock slump. You can have a little snack ahead of time. Eat something healthy. Have something healthy on hand. I never leave the house without some kind of a healthy snack. In my purse, in my car, always close by. I never know when I'm going to get stuck out and about. And if I'm starving, what's going to happen? You're going to hit a drive-thru, you're going to go into Quick Trip, something, you know, so I always have something healthy close by. So once you're aware, you can use preventive measures, what I was talking about. You can learn ways to cope with your emotions. Maybe you just need to practice some deep breathing exercises. Maybe you need a different job. Realize that it's okay to feel bad. Okay, it's going to pass. We have to get out of the mindset of, like with our kids, they fall down, they scrape their knee, and, oh, it's okay, you want to go inside and have a cookie? Make them feel better, you know? Sweets and alcohol aren't what we need to be doing to make it feel better. And meditation, anything that's going to bring awareness to what's going on, and just let that bad feeling pass. So some things that you can do is to add more greens to your diet. I see this happen all the time. People start eating healthier, and your taste buds change, your cravings change. Greens are wonderful. And the more nutrients you can get in your body, the less cravings that you have. Try eating a handful of berries, sweet vegetables. Somebody roasted some cauliflower. I love roasted vegetables. It sweetens them up. Those are great. Try eating sweet raw nuts, raw pecans, raw macadamia nuts. If you're trying to lose weight, you need to be careful with nuts because, you know, they're very high calories. And you also, if you have digestive issues, you need to be careful and maybe try soaking your nuts ahead of time. And if you don't know about that, you can ask me later because that could be a whole other topic. You have to be careful with fruit juice and dried fruit. They're really concentrated with sugars, so try to get something different. Glass of apple juice can contain the same amount of sugar as a Coke. So careful what you feed your kids. Dried fruit is about 70% sugar. Dried fruit. Dried fruit. Because it condenses all those sugars down. And watch your sauces, like the barbecue sauce. Contains roughly the same amount of sugar as chocolate topping, about 50% of the barbecue sauce is sugar. Tomato sauce is about the same. So try making your own. Try to find a nice healthy version of some tomato sauce. Try not snacking in between meals. So make sure you're eating enough at your meal of good healthy nutrients so that you don't need to snack. Because you really want to get a handle on that blood sugar. So when our blood sugar is all over the place, that's when our cravings are all over the place. So if you can really try to hone in on when you eat and really get that blood sugar, those spikes and those dips under control, it's going to help a lot. And then try to avoid just baking your desserts. You know, try to do something different. If you're the type of person like I used to be, and you have to have dessert after your meal, I'm still that way. I still have to have something sweet. My meal's not done until I pick up my plate, clean up the kitchen, and then I have to have one more thing, something a little bit sweet. And so just think about what that might do for you, what would work for you for that. Sometimes I just grab a couple of pecans and that's good. You know, just try to find something. And it's better, even if you have to grab a piece of fruit, I know some of you might do food combining and know that it's not all that good to have fruit right after your meal and all that. But anyway, even if you grab, say, a piece of fruit, it's better to do it right after your meal when you have the other foods in, the other fiber and stuff in your body for digestion, than to do it where it's going to spike your blood sugar level later. Does that make sense? So, misunderstanding our cravings, this happens quite frequently. It could be hydration that we're craving, and we have forgotten how to listen to our bodies. 75% of Americans are chronically dehydrated. So that's a good portion of us in this room probably. The thirst mechanism is often mistaken for hunger. So oftentimes we get that craving when a glass of water will work. So even mild dehydration will slow our metabolism by 30%. So if you're trying to lose weight, water is your friend. 1 glass of water will shut down midnight hunger pangs for almost 100% of the dieters studying in the University of Washington study. So that's good, except also a glass of water at night is going to keep you up all night. But so I suggest having your water earlier in the day so that you don't have to be up all night. Lack of water is the #1 trigger for daytime fatigue. So anytime you're getting that slump and you think you need that Coke, you think you need that caffeine, you think you need your sugar, try a big glass of water. A 2% drop in body water can make you feel fuzzy, can affect your short-term memory, trouble with basic math, difficulty focusing. And so rule of thumb, how do you know how much water to drink? We're all different, but a rule of thumb is to take your body weight and divide it in half, and that's how many ounces you're supposed to have. So for example, a 150-pound person should drink 75 ounces of water a day. And measure it out. Get a picture, measure it out so you see what it looks like. Start your day in the morning. Start with your big glass of water, and through mid-afternoon, get all that down. You'll be surprised what that will do. Not just for your cravings, it's going to flush toxins out, it's going to give you energy. That's the #1 thing I tell all my clients to do. So, how can you make smarter choices? So know your triggers. Again, if you're doing that food log, you know times of days, you know what your triggers are. Have healthy alternative foods available at all times. Don't buy the bad stuff and you can't eat it, unless you have a husband like mine who goes to the store anyway and puts it in the cupboard. So what I did in that situation is I designated a cupboard for him, because when I was first going through this, it was really hard for me. He had the ice cream and the cookies and the chips, and so we designated his cupboard. All of his junk food was in his cupboard, and for some reason, I knew that wasn't my cupboard, and I didn't care to go look in that cupboard. I was looking in my cupboard for my food, and it worked for me. So do whatever it takes. I know some people that their kids, teenagers have all the sweets in the house. They'll have a tub, put all the stuff in there, and move that tub into their room or somewhere else that you don't have to see it. Whatever works for you. Avoid the vending machine, read your labels, and eat simply, so just avoid processed foods. Another good thing to do is a detox. I do detox seasonally, and people get scared of that word. I do clean eating detoxes. You can do fasting, you can do juices, there's crazy powders, there's shots and pills and all kinds of detoxes out there. But if you eat seasonally and eat clean food and take out the foods that cause the digestive problems, then that's the detox that I'm talking about. And I actually have an 11-day detox that is going on right now through the August 1st. And it's not about depriving yourself, it's not about dieting, it's about real food. And it's about losing weight and improving your digestion, all of that stuff. I had people, I did this same detox in the winter with winter vegetables, and this is what people had to say: it's not hard way to eat. I no longer have cravings. Inflammation markers are down. I mean, just on and on. People loved it. Some people stayed on it longer than the 11 days. Some people stayed on it 3 and 4 weeks, because there's nothing special about the detox. It's clean eating. It's taking out, it's basically an elimination diet, if any of you guys know what an elimination diet is. So it's taking out the sugars, the processed foods. It's even taking out nuts because they're hard to digest. Things like eggs, which if you're vegan, you're probably not eating. And it's just giving your body a chance to reset and just flush all the bad stuff out. And it's only 11 days. So you can, mark it on your calendar, you can mentally wrap your head around that, you can do anything for 11 days, and you change habits in that 11 days. So you get out of the habit of that daily, Hershey's Kiss or whatever it is that you kind of, we get into those bad habits. So I highly recommend detoxes. And I have mine up here if anybody's interested. It's vegan for the most part. There might be one recipe in here that has eggs in it and there one that has salmon, but for the most part it's all vegan. There's 70 recipes in here with a menu plan of what to eat, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, shopping lists, and all of that. So if anybody's interested in less than $50 is what that costs to do, and I can talk to you about it later. And actually, I have a sign up here. I'm gonna give away 3 $50 gift certificates to use at my company, to use with me. So you can either choose to use it as one-on-one consultations with me, a half-hour consultation, or you can use it as a free detox. The price is the same. So before you leave, make sure that if you're interested in that, put your name in there, or if you want my presentation mailed to you, just make a note on my little form here and I can mail that to you too. So that's what that's about. Oh, there's my slide. I forgot I put that in there. And that's it. So does anybody have any questions? Thank you. Anybody have any questions for me or?
Where's
Sure.
your office?
I work out of my house, so my consultations are all on the phone. We can either do it by phone or by Skype if you're a one-on-one, like to see me. So yeah, everything's done on the phone, but I live in South Kansas City, Missouri. On the other side of the world, it felt like coming over here.
What are your hours?
Usually Monday through Friday, during normal, business hours.
8 to 5, 7 to 6?
About 8 to 5, yeah. I can be a little bit flexible in there. But yeah, that's typical. And yeah, it's just so important to really get a handle on what you're eating because, I'm actually glad that I have an immune disease because I figure that saved my life, because I'd still be on that bad path had I not had a reason. It's easier to buy another belt size higher, another dress size higher than it is to change your diet and get, break the sugar habit. So if God hadn't slapped me upside the head, I wouldn't be here.
Well, I didn't have a disease, but I had to change it, but I made a decision. But just making a decision doesn't make it easy.
No.
So what I had to do when I first eliminated sugar was I had to say sometimes out loud when I'd go to the grocery store and pass all the candy and the Little Debbie's and all the stuff, I just had to say toxic, 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 toxic,
Poison,
toxic.
poison.
I did the same thing.
I had to
Yeah.
do that. I couldn't, it was just, but it's amazing that it will work.
It does work,
When
yeah.
you really are determined to make a
Yes,
change.
I had to tell myself poison. I did the poison, poison, poison. And then what hurt my heart is my husband still eats that way. And so I'm telling myself in my mind, poison, 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 poison. And I go home and he's eating poison, poison, poison. Like, oh, sometimes it made me cry, but he's getting better. He's tired of my nagging. Yes.
My question is, to me, the hardest part is getting started.
Mm-hmm.
What is the steps that you took to actually start moving? And I know you said you had started with some diets and going out. I just, being a mom and having a family, what did you do? Clean your whole cupboard out at one time? Did you start with, what is the
I
best?
couldn't clean my cupboard because my husband kept buying it and bringing it back in. So I had to do the poison, poison, poison. I can't eat that. It's poison to me. It's poison to me. And water, because that just changes everything. It gives you the energy and gets away some cravings. So water was the next thing that's very important, and just start eating the greens. And I don't know what your current diet is, but the more greens and the healthy vegetables you can eat, the more nutrients you're going to get in, and it's going to change. It will physically change your reaction to food. It'll change your cravings. It changes your taste buds. It's crazy how it changes your taste buds. So that's what I would suggest, and doing some kind of like a program that's going to make you put the date on the calendar, and then you're going to have 11 days or whatever program you do that's going to make you do it.
My biggest thing is because I'm a mother and the primary cook, it's like whatever I cook, the rest of them are eating.
Right.
Whether they have a choice or not.
And it's as long as you cook healthy, will they eat it?
They like it or lump it.
Well, my husband has learned to cook his own because I tried that too, and I don't want to cook, my food and his food, so yeah. I'm not a short order cook, so he can cook his own if he wants that stuff. So yeah, it is kind of hard. Yeah, inside there's perfect. Yes.
So what
Where's a couple of recommendations for a sweet something after the meal? Because I think there's several of us in here.
Yeah, like I try
That's
to.
the signal that we're done now when we've had that. little-
Exactly, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
And I will even make, I have some recipes and stuff that I'll make and put in the refrigerator. I make a pudding that's out of avocados and strawberries and liquid stevia if my strawberries aren't sweet enough. And so that will be good. And that's even healthy enough you can eat for breakfast if you wanted to.
I
You know.
haven't done strawberries, and I've done cacao and avocado.
Yeah, I do that too. Yep, I do the cacao, exactly. There's some recipes that you can get. I have some out on my website, so take my card and go look at my website, because I have the cacao one out there. I think I have the strawberry pudding out there too. So make them, have them in your refrigerator, so that you can just go, you know, a couple scoopfuls or whatever. Sometimes I take those and I freeze them into little containers, you know, the little kids' ice pop containers, and then I have like, you know, ice cream-ish kind of a thing. So it depends on what your thing is, as to what to do. Sometimes the macadamia nut, couple macadamia nuts will do it for me.
And also, I've always been told to eat every, and my body works that way, eat every couple of hours. I went, and you were saying the complete contrary to what my belief system was on that. So,
Yeah, they used to say eat a lot of small meals.
Right.
But you're always kind of, you know, going like this with your blood sugar levels. So if you're trying to normalize your blood sugar levels, it's better to eat 3 meals. And I try to I don't like to count calories. If you're eating right, you don't have to count calories. But for people starting out, try to get about 500 calories in each one. And then that will allow a little bit for a snack if you have to, because it takes a little while to get into that habit of 3 meals. That will help your blood sugar levels.
Again, we always thought that it was eating every couple hours kept it all regulated
Yeah.
versus.
Yeah, and what I've been reading now, and my holistic doctor preaches that try to have the 3 meals.
Dr. Plug does.
Uh-huh, mm-hmm, yeah. Yeah. I know, it's so confusing, because it's hard. People say a calorie is a calorie is a calorie back in the day. Well, that's not true. You can't eat, 500 calories of Twizzlers is going to be the same as eating 500 calories of broccoli. A calorie is not a calorie. So science changes, and it's hard to keep up with what's new, what's right, what's wrong. There's, internet's full of everything out there. And I saw a question back there earlier. Did you have somebody back there have a question?
I was just going to agree with what you said in response to somebody up there. If you can go through a cleanse of some sort, several years ago, and some of you in here, I know Vivian and a couple other people were involved in this over at my church. We had went through a coronary health improvement project, and at the beginning of that, we had, I think it was 6 days of basically a cleanse. And at the end of that, I went to a restaurant that I loved, and I couldn't stand the food. It was so overwhelmingly salty, and you could taste the chemicals in it. It was horrible.
Yay.
And at first, the first day was fine, because I think the first 2 or 3 days was just grain and no salt or anything. I made it through the first day. Second one was really, really hard. But after the end of the week, when we started adding the other foods back in, I could taste the vegetables again. All of the different flavors in peas and corn and all of the vegetables that before I just really didn't really notice what the taste was.
Right.
And the heavily processed foods just were horrible.
Right.
So your taste buds will change in a very short period of time if you treat them properly.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, and it's hard a concept to believe. People, really, my taste buds are going to change. They really do. I've seen it time and time and time again. So thank you very much for sharing that.
I was going to ask you, do you know anything about kombucha?
Kombucha? Uh-huh.
Do you ever make it or drink it?
I used to make it. Yeah. I loved it. Have you made it? Have you made it before?
I have 2 going right now.
Yeah, I used to have 2 going, and then I went to go on vacation or something I just got tired of. I used to make my own kefir and all of that. So I'll buy it once in a while. I was leery of the sugars in it, and I also had to be careful with the fermentation, because when I was going through my really strict phase of my diet, I had to be really careful with the mold type stuff. So unless it was a real controlled ferment, I had to be careful. And so I stopped doing my own and just started buying it, because when they do it in the factories and the facilities, it's a completely controlled ferment. And so since I lost my little scobies or whatever they're called, I just haven't got back into it. But Yeah, I love kombucha. And I hated it when I first started, but my taste buds have changed and now I can't get enough of it.
Tell the rest of us what you think.
Oh, kombucha. It is fermented tea. So you take tea, you can get decaf tea as well. And so you take the tea, you add sugar, you know, but and then I added, what are they called? The little packet of stuff that you add.
Oh, you know what? I never had to add anything. Someone gave me a mother.
Okay,
smoothie,
okay, yeah.
And then I use the red Robos tea,
Uh-huh.
which is decaf
Right,
anyways.
right.
And then I just use a little bit of molasses and a little bit of raw honey.
Mhm.
And
For your sugars, right?
yeah, not nearly as much as what I read about
Yeah.
to make it, because oh my gosh.
They have
but-
you add a lot.
Yeah, but no, and I love it. It's like, if I don't have it every day now, I'm like missing something, but it has, well, I'm done.
No, go ahead. Yeah, so the little
Yeah.
the little SCOBY on the
Right.
top, it looks like the most disgusting thing you've
Yeah.
ever seen. It's grows to the size, it's a living organism, and it grows to the size of your jar. So mine was about this big and about that thick. And it's slimy, and it's got chunks of stuff that kind of fall off into your tea, and it looks like snot.
But it's really good for you.
For lack of a better word, sorry.
And that's
But it-
healthy, huh?
Huh? And
That's healthy.
it's healthy. It looks. I would never show my husband what it looked like, and he would drink it once in a while. If he would have seen that, it was like no way was he going to drink it. But that is the organism that ferments the living, breathing, bacteria that eats the sugar and converts it and ferments it, so that now you have the good bacteria. So when you drink it, it realigns your stomach with the healthy bacteria versus the bad bacteria that gets us sick. So the fermented foods are really good. I eat a lot of bubbies, the sauerkraut that you can buy at the health food stores that's fermented. You can ferment your own sauerkrauts. That stuff is really good. Helps your
That's why I'm healthy,
stomach.
because I was German and I was practically raised on sauerkraut every day.
Yeah, well, it's different than the sauerkraut you buy now in the can, that's dead because there's no bacteria in it.
Bubbies? Okay, I haven't had bubbies.
Bubbies. I don't like sauerkraut.
I love sauerkraut.
Oh.
So what, bubbies?
Bubbies, Bubbies.
Okay.
And
Tell us
it's
about it. What is
Bubbies?
it? Why is it good for you? 'Cause
The-
I like the pickles.
Oh, you like the Bubbies pickles? So they are fermented and they're not processed after the fermentation process to kill the good bacteria. Like when you buy the canned sauerkraut, it's not got any living anything in it anymore because it's processed at a high heat. So the Bubbies and homegrown sauerkraut, when it ferments, it has the healthy bacteria in it. And our body is, I forget what the number is, like 90+% bacteria. So it makes a difference on whether we have good bacteria in our gut or the bad bacteria in our gut as to how we digest, as to how, our immune system, all of that, how all of it works. So if you've ever been on antibiotics, it's really important to reintroduce the healthy bacteria into your system.
Same thing with steroids.
I'm not sure about the steroids and how that affects the bacteria, but you can't get enough of the healthy bacteria. I'm always
Usually
kombucha,
after
kefir.
you've had something like candida or a fungal
Yeah.
infection, or if you
Yeah.
had like a C. diff type issue, to rebalance those those.
Right. And I'm always constantly just trying to, you can't overbalance, you can't overdo on the good bacteria.
I always feel great. After I drink kombucha, it's like a zing.
Yeah. And some of that is, some of that zing that you feel once in a while, they get a little rush in your head. There are some alcohols going on because of the fermentation too. Yeah. Not enough to get you drunk, but get you that little boost. So yeah, this is really good. Probiotics, love probiotics. Yes, I suggest everyone get on a probiotic. Probably on some vitamin B12, vitamin D3. We're almost all deficient on that. And Juice Plus, if you need a good whole food supplement, Juice Plus is the best one I found. Honestly, it's got a whole food label on the back. It's processed at low heat, because that's one of my big things, because I'm a high raw foodist. And so Juice Plus, the guy that founded the company, he takes the fruit, juices it, dehydrates it, and then that's what goes into the pill. Dehydrates it at 115 or less so that it's raw.
So it's a pill?
Juice Plus, it's a pill. Yeah. Yeah.
They even have the gummies
Yeah, and so if you have kids, if you have an adult sponsor, your child gets have the Juice Plus supplements for kids for free. So it's a really good product. I can talk to you about it later.
Doesn't he have to radiate it to sell it?
I don't believe so.
I thought it was illegal not to radiate it.
Well, it's not a supplement. It's got a whole food label on the box, so it doesn't have to abide by the supplement laws.
Okay.
Are you
But I can look that up for you.
about what brand of vitamins and so many of them?
So that's why I say the Juice Plus is the best one that I found.
Calls for all the vitamins.
For all the vitamins, yeah, because the other vitamins are processed. Yeah, they're radiated, they're processed at a heat, they're, you know, who knows what other stuff is in them, who knows how they're made. If you take them and put them in a glass of water and they don't dissolve within 15 or 20 minutes, they're not gonna dissolve in your stomach, you're not gonna absorb them.
What about those ones that are like a powdery pudding mixed with water? What do they call them, isotonics or isotonics?
Isogenics?
Something, I don't know, it's not a capsule, it's like a powder.
Like perfect food or something?
No, they're food supplements, they have the B complex and calcium, and you mix them with water and they're like a powdery.
Yeah, again, it just depends on how they were made. How did they get that B12? You know, did they take the fruit and juice it and dehydrate it, and was it directly from the fruit or vegetable form, or did they manufacture the B12?
That's
You
what
know?
I didn't know, they got this new guy on the internet or something, some athlete or something. He's taking this isotonic supplements or something, everything's, where he mixes it with water.
I don't know about that. There's so many different ones out there. I know there's an isogenic brand, but I don't know if isotonics.
There's this company called Juice Plus.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, the Juice Plus.
Are you talking about?
Yeah, I take those, my husband's on them, I give them to my dog. I love my dog, yeah.
Does he get the gummies and qualify as the
No, I wish. Be cheaper. Haven't figured out how to do that one yet. Did I see another hand up somewhere? No more questions? Yeah. To try to counteract it because you're mad that you got one, and yeah, I did the same thing years ago when I first went on my journey. A detox is good, you know, because you need to flush all the bad stuff out. Lots of water, eat as healthy as you can, probiotics, all that stuff we've been talking about. It really builds the system back up. And then next year, keep eating that way, and you don't need the flu shot because you're already going to have a healthy immune system.
Yeah.
Do you have to?
Medical field, you have to.
What about the
I would quit my
pneumonia?
job. Huh?
Pneumonia shot, is that the same like with the flu shot, or, I mean, like pneumonia, you only get what, every 5 or 10 years?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's in the pneumonia shot. I would personally do whatever I could to avoid those shots and get my body in the shape that it needs to be food-wise.
And shingles, do you know anything about the shingles?
I know that,
Only get shingles if you've had chickenpox.
yeah, but I also know that if you don't have inflammation in your body,
You're not gonna have thyroid shingles.
exactly.
Oh,
Yeah, inflammation causes all kinds of problems, and sugar is a toxin that triggers all the kinds of inflammation. So getting all the sugars out is going to be huge, and not just sugars, but the other stuff that causes inflammation, like
caffeine.
gluten, dairy, which hopefully you guys are vegan, that's not a problem. Gluten's the high one though, and you have to be careful with soy as well. Soy's in everything, so.
Are you familiar along with this, I think it's PCRM, President's Research Council,
Mhm.
to educate
Mhm.
medical doctors or something?
I don't know much about it, but I've heard of it. Yeah, I wish all medical doctors would go back to school and take some nutrition.
And then there was another article that came out about that 2,4-D and all those Agent Oranges and the Roundup and stuff that they're spraying on the crops.
Yeah.
But that stuff is getting and staying in food, and it's causing the celiac disease and all kinds of intestinal stuff in human beings.
Well, the way that the Roundup works is that when a bug comes and eats the vegetable on the plant, it ruptures its stomach.
Well, no, this is just for the eliminating the vegetation along the sides too. It has that G word in it, glyphosate something
of the other plants besides the one.
But besides the ones they're not
Right,
supposed to.
right, yeah. So that's what Roundup does, is it kills all the weeds around it. But then they also, the genetically modified foods, they modify them so that when a pest comes and nibbles on the corn, it ruptures the insect's stomach. So what happens to us when we eat a lot of the GMO stuff, our stomachs
That's why we're, okay, that's what I.
start to get messed up. Yeah. Not good. So we can all vote with our pocketbook if you don't buy that stuff. Yeah. As I'm
Grow
a
your own backyard.
I'm a firm believer of that. I don't give Monsanto any of my money.
You don't get what?
Yay. Well, I don't give Monsanto any of my money. I don't buy the GMO stuff. I buy organic. So, guys, thank you for all the questions, and it's been awesome. I enjoyed today.
Wow, that was awesome. I'm not gonna be here next month, and Rick, I don't know if you have a program lined up?
We'll
but-
figure something out.
Yeah. So anyway, and Chris, you'll be getting hold of you if you,
If everybody's put their stuff in, we can roll right.
okay. Anybody else have a hand, a little drawing to put in?
Does anybody else need to sign up?
I think I went around and everybody was paying for it.
Oh, thank you.
We'll do that real quick. And if anybody has any ideas for presenters, we're always open for that too.
We're looking forward to her gardening one in the fall.
I know. I'm so sad I won't be able to be here. That'll be in September. She'll be talking about no-tilling gardening.
You'll be gone?
I'll be gone that particular day.
Without tilling. What was tilling?
Tilling.
No-till. It's used
No-till gardening. And Christy will be here a few minutes afterwards, yeah. While she's doing that, I want to put another plug into why we shouldn't eat all these frequent meals. You know, when you stop and look at the stomach is what? It's a muscle. And can you imagine if you were on the floor and doing push-ups and did about 50 push-ups every 3 hours? How would your arms feel after a while?
strong.
You're pretty wore out, because we always need to have a rest in between. And our stomach, when we're eating those every 3-hour meals, like is being promoted, how efficient do you think your stomach will be? Not very efficient.
So two or one meal a day should still be okay?
Yeah. I'm even seeing the promotion of 2 meals a day, really. But no more than 3 meals a day. Because we want to digest, let that stomach have a good rest, and then the next meal, it can get busy again and digest. Okay.
It's good to leave that 12 hours between, that 12-hour fast between your dinner and your breakfast.
Yep, yep. How many people do that? Okay, so, how many are we picking out here? 3. Charlie Galan. Late comer, and look what happened. Awesome. Okay?
My wife tells me I have to give it to her.
Okay. Lisa. Okay. You made that pick. You said 4.
3. Oh,
Well, I don't care either. And, Carlos and Tara. Tara, good job. Good.
let's do one more.
One more?
Yeah.
Okay. You won't have much work with this one. Deborah Fall. Awesome. Yeah, Deborah, you don't ever get to come. I'm so excited that you were able to come today. Okay, well, let's go ahead and close with prayer, and you guys can all leave, and we'll see you back next month. Father in heaven, thank you again for the time that we were here right now and learning more about our bodies. And I pray that we can implement the things that we've learned. Thank you, and please be with each of us as we travel, going home. We ask this in your name. Amen. The date malt sugar. See, I was so excited looking at that, and I'm thinking, oh, here's a great sugar alternative.
think it ended up seeing a fight to them. Because like, even like agave and honey, they're pretty low on the glycemic index. But I guess each video I think sometimes it's like,
Did you video the whole thing?
until 11:30 last night.
And then what do
So I
you do
didn't
with it
absorb it
after
all.
you video?
After
Do
making
you show
it.
them later?
But it was a
You
really
just keep
big
it for your
article,
own
so.
And anybody else?
About the sugar load how it hits the body chemically. Right. I thought, wow, when you said that, I thought, crap. That's awesome. Have you seen and this is last year sometime, or maybe the year before, the 2020 program on sugar?
Yes.
Oh my
Love that.
gosh, wasn't that incredible?
Like, my husband, you gotta sit down and watch this.
I
In
know
5 minutes,
it.
he's like,
Besides
I tried so hard to get him information.
He should have been, it's copied.
Yeah.
You know, speaking of the marketing, I went to a night
Thank you.
and I went to their
Thank you.
Yeah, somebody else said that, Heather, crap.
And never to be get for them.
And then proceeded to tell her the 3 close calls.
Somebody was. I love it.
No, that's true. And so they're promoting it is a nutrition hands I guess. Yeah, he has had 3 close calls. One of them about a month or 2 back. He's had a bigger limb that broke out in 2 or 3 different ways. He happened to be standing like right under where it fell, but he happened to walk away.
Wasn't that interesting?
So this is what you were talking about, how maybe have Another massive one garden. spent the last week or 2
Exactly, exactly. So she's gonna do the
because he had to throw it aside as he backed out of the way. So it would have broken the leg.
I just remember I can't.
Part of the engine, not the house, but the part of the place. The 2 have been
What temperature do you process? Because anything over 18 degrees. So he's on, are you over the room?
He's trying to get out there, fell through. Somebody was.
Yeah, something on that. It gets processed, so, yeah. It's interesting.
Which is way more information than the average customer is
Well,
going to
yeah,
ask.
absolutely.
Yeah, I know you, because who you are, you're interested in this, what you know more risk. Personally, he's never taken risks, he's always one glove. We'll figure it out. Everything just so, but for your average person that you were talking to, we don't need that depth of read out.
I will know.
Don't get bogged down in the, have a new word, I did not do that.
Even the administrative.
Right, yes, I'm taking the information that you got.
Once I get home.